You know, when I got my webcam recording, I got some things to show you. What is up, Finn fans? 3 things I'm talking about in today's video. Wasn't not expecting to make a second video today, but you know, if stuff comes out and important stuff comes out, I'm gonna make a video and we're gonna talk about it. So if you haven't checked earlier today, I did a breakdown of my expectations of the Dolphin defense going into the 2022 season. So you can go check that out and then come back and watch this beautiful video, because we got 3 things we're gonna talk about. 1, Lynn Bowden Jr. and Preston Williams. 2, the depth chart. The first depth chart has been released. And 3, something Colin Cowherd has said. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, oh, that guy. We'll get to that. But let's jump into, first and foremost, the fact that the Miami Dolphins, Breer reports the Dolphins have had talks about trading Preston Williams and Lynn Bowden Jr. Both have had limited opportunities in camp, with the presence of Waddle Hill and the emergence of Eric Izukoma and Braylon Sanders. Yeah, I think I even talked about that back when he was talking about not getting the amount of chances, which we're all like, dude, you had 3 years with this team. How many more chances are you going to get? But Sanders, Easy-E, even Craycraft is killing it. There's a lot of guys that are doing really well above Bowden, above Preston Williams. You're barely hearing those 2 guys. Those are guys that the last regime wanted. Now, Bowden could have fit with this offense, right? He's speedy. He can play multiple positions, running back, wide receiver, even quarterback. But also they bring in Sanu. You know, in all honesty, once they signed Sanu and brought him in, I thought Preston's out. They're going to cut him. And again, on the 15th, so they play this Saturday. Next Monday, the 15th, is when they have to cut down to, I think, 85. They have to go from 90 to 85 players on the roster. And then the 22nd, they have to go down to 80, from 85 to 80. And then on the 30th, they have to get down to their 53-man roster. So on Monday, they have to make cuts. So they're probably like, we're going to try to get some value out of Preston Williams and Lynn Bowden Jr. If they can get like a 5th and a 7th for these 2 guys, I'm good with that. One of them was an undrafted free agent. The other, Lynn Bowden, he was a 2nd-round pick. I think we traded a 4th for him, a 5th for him. I'm fine with that. But I saw this coming. The wide receiver room is pretty stacked, you know, especially them bringing in Sanu, Waddle, Hill, Easy-E, Sanders, you know, Craycraft. These guys are doing really, really well. So I expect that. But let's take a look at the depth chart, and we're going to look at and see essentially where they stack up. And this I found very interesting. So we're going to look at the depth chart. This is Miami Dolphins' first depth chart. Now, again, it's preseason game 1. A lot of this is just kind of getting an idea of where people stand when it comes to training camp and all that stuff. So we're going to look at the offense and the defense and the special teams. So offense, you obviously wide receiver 1, Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 2, Tyreek Hill. Behind them is Cedric Wilson Jr., which I expected him to be wide receiver 3, but then you have Preston Williams. And then look at Lynn Bowden Jr. Lynn Bowden Jr. is ahead of Sanu and Easy-E and Braylon Sanders and Craycraft. So I thought that was very interesting that they're on the trade block, even though they're kind of ahead in the depth chart, which means you probably will see some of them on Saturday if they don't get traded before Saturday. But again, you know, we'll look at the top: Jalen Waddle, Preston Williams, Trent Sherfield, who's also doing fantastic, Mohamed Sanu, Eric Izukoma, and then you have Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson Jr., Lynn Bowden Jr., River Craycraft. I'm looking at the bottom now. Braylon Sanders and Devontae Dedman, which I don't see him making the roster. And then we look at the offensive line, and this is pretty much what I expected. Teron Armstead, Liam Eichenberg, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, and Austin Jackson. That's pretty much what I expected the starting lineup to be. Backup center, Michael Dieter. You have Larnell Coleman back up to Armstead, Adam Pankey backing up Eichenberg, Robert Jones backing up Hunt, and you have Greg Little, the backup right tackle. And then behind them, Keon Smith, Blaze Andres, Cole Barnett, which, yeah, Solomon Kinley. Wow. Solomon Kinley fell down the depth chart, and then Kalen Deesh, who who I do like a lot. Solomon Kinley fell down the depth chart. Damn, I don't see him making the roster. Him and like Devontae Dedmon, I don't know if they're gonna make it till Monday. Then tight ends, obviously Gesicki, Smythe, Hunter Long. I saw that. I literally was talking about when I was talking about the camp battle with the tight ends. Those are your top three: Sathan Carter, Adam Shaheen, Tanner Connor. Tanner Connor is getting a lot of love in training camp, especially at targets. You're not hearing Adam Shaheen. You are hearing Sathan Carter. Adam Shaheen, to me, again, Sathan Carter, Adam Shaheen are the odd man out. Tanner Connor's probably a practice squad guy, and then they're going to probably run with those three that I talked about. Then you have fullback Alec Ingold and John Lovett. And then you have running backs. I find the running back situation very interesting. They have two running backs, like a dual running back set with Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert, which, yeah, Sony Michel, Myles Gaskin ahead of Saquandre White and Savon Ahmed and Jared Dokes. Maybe those are the four. Maybe those are the four they like they're going to keep, because I could see them keeping four running backs. Four running backs, maybe five. No, because then you have Alec Ingold. Four running backs, four tight ends. I could see them keeping. Jared Dokes, Savon Ahmed, and Saquandre White. White is probably going to go to the practice squad. And then I see Jared Dokes being cut and Savon Ahmed maybe making the roster. And then you have the quarterbacks in Tua Tagovailoa, Teddy Bridgewater, and Skylar Thompson. Those are expected. Skylar Thompson probably going to the practice squad unless he keeps killing it. And then he pushes out Teddy Bridgewater. But I don't see that happening. I'd like to see it happen. But I don't see that happening. And then we'll look at the defense with Wilkins, Silers, your starters in the 3-4s. Wilkins, Davis, Agba. Backups are Siler, Jenkins, and Gustin. Behind them is still Benito Jones and Carney Jr. And then behind them is Williams. And then you have your linebackers, your starting four on this 3-4 set: Jalen Phillips, Landon Roberts, Jerome Baker, and Melvin Ingram on the outside. So they put Baker back on the inside. Behind them is Scarlett, Aguavin, Duke Riley, and Andrew Van Ginkel behind Melvin Ingram. And then you have Hodge, Munson, Tyndall, and Good. Then you have Johnson. Surprised Tyndall's so far down the depth chart. I wouldn't expect that to be the case with the official Week 1 depth chart. And then corners, you have Howard and Needham. Probably because Byron is on the PUP while he's not on there. So your starters are going to be Howard and Needham for now. Keon Cross and Noah Igbenogany, Coe and Trill Williams, Ross Ellis and Hamilton. Your starting safeties are Brandon Jones and Javon Holland. Behind them, Eric Rowe, Redwine, Fedulum Wilson, Campbell, and McKinley III. The only surprising thing to me on this depth chart is probably how far back Tyndall is. I'd expect him to be a backup role. But this is like this whole linebacking core situation is very like movement, motion, one into the other. So I'm not too stressed. He's obviously going to make the roster, but it's like undrafted free agent here, practice squad potentially, all that stuff. And again, you're not seeing Byron Jones on here because he's on the physically unable to perform list. So this is what they need to put out essentially for the preseason, what to look for. But like I said, Week 1, they'll probably have Byron on here. And then your special teams. Sanders, your kicker, Morstead, your starting punter, with Frechter as the backup, Ferguson, long snapper. Interesting, your punt returners, Hill, your kick returners, Mostert, then Waddles behind them, Chase Edmonds, Holland, Noah, Preston Williams, Dedmon, and then Bowden Jr. I find it very interesting they have Hill as the punt returner starter. I doubt he's starting Week 1. But again, looking at the offense, and yes, it looks different than when I was talking about the offense before, because I went on their official site, which is the same as this, and I noticed that their defense didn't have Melvin Ingram yet, so I had to go into my bag and get the legit one that me as a media member get all the time. So yeah, this is essentially what you get as a media member. You get this pamphlet that I'm showing you now. But yeah, there's nothing really on here that's surprising me. Kinley being all so far down is maybe a little surprising. Preston Williams being so high, being that he's on the trading block, a little surprising to me. But again, not much. Tyndall being so far down. it's preseason 1. So, yeah. But now, let's get to the other thing I want to talk about. So, yeah, looking at that depth chart, not much really shocking on there. There's a few surprises, I guess you could say. But, again, that's week 1 of the depth chart. But Colin Cowherd, we all know how he feels about the Dolphins. He came out, right? I'm not going to play the entire video because I might get copyright striked from ESPN for playing too much of their video, even though I'm reacting to it, and fair rights and fair use and yada yada. But essentially, he, in the big chunk of it, it's a 10-minute video for about 6 minutes and 42 seconds. He talks about reports Mac Jones struggling amid chances to changes to Patriots offensive staff, like the direction that Jones, Belichick, and New England are heading in, ? And he says no. He thinks that Belichick's stubbornness and his hard-headedness kind of drove Tom Brady out of there, and he thinks that Mac Jones is going to struggle a little bit. But he talks about the Dolphins a little bit, and we're going to listen to it together for the first time. I'm going to come off sounding like a little bit of it. What are they sitting in? Like, is she on trial? Is he the judge? Like, and then you have your guest sitting here. Just imagine sitting here and you just see the host and I guess his guest or his assistant just in these giant wooden boxes. And you have to look up to them because look how high up they are. And you're sitting, and they're like, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" You're like, "Why? Who thought looking at this that this was?" It's not everything. Right? There's ups and downs. It's training camp. It's practice. I'm not expecting perfect throughout the whole thing. It's the same thing with any quarterback. They're going to put the good stuff out. And obviously, you know, the beat writers I followed to give you the information on camp and stuff. If you listen, you actually listen to what I say and not cherry pick the things you want to hear and cherry pick the things you get angry about. You hear me talk about bad throws, overthrows with Tua, underthrows with Tua, as well as the good throws. There is an equal where they give you everything and give you an idea of how this offense is looking. So what he's talking about is obviously the Miami Dolphins aren't going to put out the overthrows and the interceptions and stuff like that, but I do talk about them. Some people like to say I cherry pick things. I don't cherry pick anything. Listen to what I say because I do talk about the bad underthrows, the interceptions, all that stuff, as well as the good touchdown passes. But it's interesting. You look at the comparison of Drew Brees and Tua for their first 2 years, they're very similar. Tua has a little bit higher stats in certain areas, but those two guys are very similar. That's why I always say Tua, to me, his ceiling is Drew Brees. And if we get Drew Brees, like we've been wanting Drew Brees for how many years, I'd be ecstatic. So that's his ceiling, but can he get to that ceiling? Can he continue and can he use all that? Can he do what Colin Cowherd's actually, you know, for once giving credit to and saying, can he take what is given to him and take it to the next level? That's the biggest question that I don't know the answer to yet. A lot of people like to say, I'm not saying whether Tua is going to be lighting it up this year or not. I have to see it to believe it. Yeah, he for once I agree with Colin Cowherd, you know, especially at the end there. These quarterbacks are not worried about getting hit. So a lot of times when I see these big plays and when I see the completions and stuff, I am like, that's nice. I'm very happy to see that. For me, it's more about the accuracy, where the ball placed is and where the defenders are in comparison to where the catch is. I look at other things versus like, oh, obviously he's going to. Can he make the throw? Is there velocity? I look at these things. Same with the interception, right? I don't take the interceptions or the underthrows or the overthrows that seriously. I look at what's causing them and who this. Like one of the plays yesterday, I heard, you know, the missed opportunity on 4th and 4 in the game simulation with Tua to Hill. I heard it was Tua's fault. Tua tried to squeeze it in between two defenders, was off. Hill couldn't catch it. So I watched it. Like if you go back and watch yesterday's film breakdown when we looked at it for camp, I watched it. That ball hit Hill right in the hands. He should have caught that. Now in live game simulation or in an actual game, Jaron Holland's probably going to hit the ball out of Hill's hands with his shoulder pad. But it was right here. It wasn't a bad pass by Tua. It was just a drop by Hill. So, but again, to reiterate real quick, surprised here. I'm also worried because he also said that with Adam Gase, the Jets were going to the Super Bowl. We all saw how that, like, he's horrible with his takes. So if that means anything, I'm terrified for our season with the Dolphins because of Colin Cowherd liking them. But the other thing I want to just address real quick, I don't cherry pick. I've heard that from a few people. You don't talk about this, and I talk about everything. Go back and listen. I talk about his overthrows, his underthrows. I talked about the out route that he missed Hill with. He couldn't get his feet down. I talk about everything. Got to listen, because I notice when I'm reading the comments, some people are like, "Hey, you didn't talk about this." I talked about it. Sometimes you're doing something while you're listening, or you're listening for certain things, right? Does Tua do bad? I'm going to listen for it. I want to hear Tua doing bad. Or, there you go. They just talk about the touchdown and never talks about anything, and you miss certain things. So, but that's what I got for you today. Make a nice video for you guys. We listen to Colin Cowherd. Hopefully this doesn't get copyright claims from ESPN, even though fair right use, I shouldn't get copyright claimed. Looked at the depth chart and talks about Preston Williams and Lynn Bowden potentially get traded. But I will see you guys tomorrow. They are going to be going to Tampa tomorrow with the joint practice. And then Wednesday and Thursday, it will be open to the fans. So if you are heading to Tampa and you want to send some video, you know how to do it, and I'll shout you out. And then Friday they have off before the Bucs game. So Friday I will be doing my preview of the Bucs game. Then I'll be live Saturday for the Bucs game. Then they have off Sunday, and then Monday they have to get cut down from 90 to 85. So that's what's going on this week. But other than that, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Day one of joint practice. But like usual, stay classy. My fins up.